Vi ban would be pretty big here from OMG. I think it would make a lot of sense. They prefer to take away the Nocturne. The Pantheon being taken off the board does give a macro advantage over to that side, but I ask and I shall receive. The Vi has been picked, and I imagine we're going to be seeing something like an Ahri or a Taliyah for Tangyuan as well to get back to basics.
As you called it out, Vi instantly snagged for Heng. But that does mean for OMG, they're going to get the next best skirmishing jungler available, which is that Haichao. And now OMG are thinking about how best to pair their first pick of the draft. They couldn't try and go, wow, Mel super early on. I mean, there's not even a threat of an Ashe Seraphine since Ashe was already banned by LGD. I'm curious what kind of champions that OMG are trying to dissuade from LGD going Mel this early.
That's a great question, Raafaa, because as I said, it's pretty obviously going to be Ahri on the other side of this, so picking Mel definitely brings in some questions. Now, Mel has some unique tools in that matchup, can reflect the charm, obviously, and that is really helpful for the laning phase, but boy, the proactivity of Vi Ahri is exactly what the doctor ordered, and for LGD, I don't really care if you feel like you have this counter pick matchup. We just want to be more comfortable, and that's what they're drafting for here. Jace getting picked for Burdol as well. This is a pick that, you know, really made Burdol famous back, like, very early in his career in the LCK. This is just all comfort for LGD. They took one look at game one and said, hey, we just want to make this as easy as possible for us, and I totally get it.
So, my concern always with Vi being picked early on is whether the rest of the drafts can facilitate the Vi, or at least give her some diving buddies so that she is not on a one-man mission. Obviously, Ahri is going to make her feel a little more excited about going on those diving adventures, but if the rest of LGD's bot lane lacks other engage tools, I'm going to be concerned for this team if they don't find the mid-game stride that this jungle mid duo really relies on.
Well, and that's the question now, Raafaa, with all these AD carries getting taken off the table. Like, do you want to see a Kai'Sa? Because something like that would obviously fit the identity, but I'm a little bit worried just about the strength of that champion and the passivity that it gives in the early game. Like, I don't really want this team to be resting and, you know, just saying like, oh, we've got a Jace on the top side. I think if you want to go for a hyper carry, there are more consistent options. It's also something that I just worry about for Shaoye, who wants to be more aggressive in that 2v2. We see so many of these ADCs banned out, his signature Draven, the Corki as well. I think that diving partner that would be, you know, just kind of useful in a lot of situations, but playmakers as well taken off of the board. You've got that Yorick for split pushing. This bot lane pickup for OMG is going to tell us a ton about how they want to play this early game, and generally, you know, I think that there could be some interesting options on the table. I can't talk about others. Oh my god.
Yep. It's bot lane or support Mel. One of the two. Holy moly, OMG are cooking. Oh my god. And
they're in the kitchen.
And the fact that Haichao is getting another one of his comfort champions in Sylas, which can be a really nice matchup into Ahri once he gets out of laning phase. You already have two solid ultimates for Sylas to be able to use. Now LGD are going to be forced to consider, okay, what champions can we pick that are not devastating ultimates to go over? This probably prevents any Alistar angles that they probably would have wanted to go for YCX. So now they have to go with Thresh Aphelios as their next best choice.
Oh, but they're just going full kill lane. We were talking about this, Raafaa. If Moham was drag and dropped into a meta of Pyke, the entire world would flip on its head, and he says, I don't need the meta. I will create the meta down on the bot side here. Mel Pyke for OMG. This has to be the most exciting draft they could give us. Going up 1-0, they are not afraid, and you know what? I'm super excited about how this mid game goes. You're looking at one of the most kill-oriented bot lanes you could think of, going into a mobility-less champion on the other side with the Aphelios. You might have gotten your comfort, but boy did we get our comfort too.
Kman, I'm floored. Dude, OMG are giving us a whole ass buffet. And the fact that this is our first series and our first look from OMG, and they're showing such confidence and creativity from the get-go, I'm already excited for how the rest of the regular season is going to pan out. Now, OMG need to win this game for that vote of confidence to continue being in their favor. And LGD might have gotten a better mid-game composition aligned for them and some better tools to make picks with now that you have a Thresh alongside this Ahri and Vi. But Kman, it's hard not to try and root for the super cooks over on OMG right now.
You gotta root for them. They have cooked in the draft, and they are looking to cook on the Rift here in game number 2.
OMG! Shaoye! LGD!
Shaoye! I'm also cheering for them. I'm cheering for them. I think it was half-hearted for me for LGD because I'm looking at Pyke, and it's just hard not to support, you know, an unbiased caster for the rest of this. I just have to be excited about the game that we have in front of us, Raafaa. I mean, how can you not be excited? I think that there is a world here where we get action at level 1 on the bot side. Moham gonna be looking. You gotta be real careful if you're Shaoye early on in this game.
I just love that Moham gives LGD a blast from the past off of their previous best-of-3 bout with LGD, which was the second time that they beat LGD in the regular season, which gave them the overall placement win to make sure that they could get to Knights Rivals in the first place. And it was off of the back of an MVP performance from Moham on that Pyke. 0-0 and 11 the last time he played it against LGD. And now trying to put a fear of God into LGD's bot lane with a return on this Harbinger of Death.
For level 2, a little bit early here. Pyke's very strong at level 2. Not going to land the hook, but definitely could see some summoners blown with some aggression. Nothing just yet. I'm hoping, I'm praying for something on the bot side here, but looks like it's just going to be a pretty standard lane setup. This is exactly how we expect these lanes to go in the early game. Haichao, a big Silas connoisseur as well in the mid lane here as he hits level 3. This matchup is relatively even after you get the first couple levels down, so I would imagine both of them are going to have a ton of roam priority, which once again puts a huge spotlight on these junglers. Look at the pathing here for Rio.
I love this. Takes full bot side camps, looks for an early mid gank after going all the way around the top side where he knew that Tangyuan would not be able to think about getting some early vision. That forces the flash out of Ahri, and it makes Haichao's early laning phase a bit easier.
Erase everything I just said, Raafaa. It's no longer an even laning phase. Haichao now has a pretty distinct advantage once he backs and gets a couple of items under his belt. Silas usually struggles into these matchups. That will not be a problem here. The push on the bot side, not super unexpected. This Aphelios is going to have a ton more combat power than Mel right now in terms of just being able to trade and shove through, especially with the guns at his disposal. So we'll see how Starry wants to answer. Starry not really known for being an AP mage player. Going to be interesting to see how these team fights go. Oh, there's the combo.
We say that, and then we remember that Starry has a pretty nice Ziggs in
you're right.
certain compositional scenarios. Now, Heng, recognizing that Haichao got a little bailout, needs to provide some much-needed love to his mid laner, and will be able to get Haichao's flash as well.
Very, very nice there from Heng, being able to basically trade the flashes in the mid lane and actually kind of timer them out so that you're at a bit of an advantage there with Tangyuan having flash up a little bit earlier. It'll be interesting to see how they might want to take advantage of that, but for now, both junglers staying active. I need to see both of them utilize these power spikes. We're getting closer to that dragon spawn into level 6. Reflector and the dodge coming through, the double safety from Starry, but at the end of the day, it will just be collecting the wave under tower and waiting for more.
So I know that Mel has a struggle into potentially Blitzcrank because, well, actually no. I think it's Mel Nautilus is like a self-counter for Mel because you then drag yourself into Nautilus, which is not ideal.
Yeah, but you have that weird conundrum where Nautilus throws the hook and you either reflect the hook or, you know, he ults you and then you get ulted, and it's just not a fun game to play if you're Mel. It's going to be a little easier on Thresh.
In Thresh's case, I think it's safer for Mel because you land the hook and you don't have to. I don't even know if you have the option of taking the hook here. So anyway, point being, this is a pretty nice lane for Starry to have some rebuttal effective use. Obviously, you can block this death sentence, or you can block the Moonlight Vigil, which can be a very, very considerate amount of burst from Shaoye.
Yeah, also really important that in the late game, he can block the charm as well from Ahri on a potential flank, or even the shock blast, as we get another gank mid. from
and
both.
Moham joins the party as well. The roam timer's so good, it cuts off Heng from being able to bail out his mid laner, and Haichao is awarded first blood.
It's actually best case scenario with the first blood going on to Silas as well. Everything going the way of OMG. As Moham makes his way back down to the bot side. Dragon has spawned. Could potentially be a target. With Starry under tower, it's going to be tough for them to be able to contest this. See if Heng wants to go for it. It looks like he is going to start it up and should be able to get this first dragon at least as a consolation prize for free. Oh!
There's a rebuttal, and it pulls YCX in with the death sentence, so we get our confirmation there that Mel into Thresh. Pretty damn good.
That's what I love to see. Just flex on him early. You know, make sure he knows. As Moham makes his way up. I don't think this dragon is very contestable. Obviously, jungle on the top side, they're just trying to get vision of it. I was worried. You know, sometimes with Moham and the Pike, you can see some more aggressive invades. It's just going to be a natural trade. Dragon going early to LGD does matter quite a bit. Then being able to stack a late game objective for their Aphelios could be important.
Wow, as I'm seeing the Mel and Pike work together hand in hand, I'm really liking the synergy so far, because the Undertow guarantees a full Q from Mel to connect. You can even pair the Solar Snare as well on top of it. And YCX and Shaoye are just fearing for their life right now. There's not even major component spikes on Starry and Moham yet, but just the all-in kill threat. And now that Moham has left the lane enough times that Starry got enough solo XP to hit level 6 first, that all-in threat is being very respected by YCX and Shaoye right now.
I mean, it's perfect guns for Shaoye, and he has to be as scared as possible. It's the worst case scenario. This Pike is a massive nuisance, and we can see it with the positioning. There's just no way to feel comfortable.
Moham able to use the Phantom Undertow to escape the turret shots. Shaoye tries to pop
the
the ghost
flash
to get in range onto Moham. Not level 6 yet, just trying to all in him at the moment, but Starry finds
Starry.
the angle. Solar radiation! Boom! And Starry sends Shaoye back to the fountain. And now LGD's bot lane is looking completely donezo.
Oh, the chefs are cooking right now. OMG take their great start in game number 1 and turn it into an even better one here in game 2. They don't need one fight, they get a couple to get that 2-kill lead, a 1K gold lead here. And again, it's on perfect targets for this team. YCX gonna try to hold this wave as much as he can, but this bot lane is in a really bad spot. Starry is only going to get more dangerous from this point onwards. We talked about Aphelios' lack of mobility. That's not gonna get fixed anytime soon, even with the Thresh Lantern becoming a bit of an issue. Those level 6s on those junglers not even utilized yet. Haichao's gonna be moving around the map as well. This Grubs fight in 15 seconds could be a pretty big one with, I assume, both supports roaming up.
Meanwhile, top lane, Yorick and Jace back at it again. Just trying to duel it out. Burdol going for the phase rush tech just so that he can always get out of these nasty trades against Hery's Yorick. Hasn't necessarily been the highlight of our conversation since most of it has been on mid and bot, and Moham once again pressuring the mid lane will help force out the Spirit Rush from Tangyuan.
Yeah, again, it's another resource burned from Moham, who's doing a great job this game of being able to just pressure out everywhere on the map. Rio was started up on the Grubs, and boy, doesn't it just feel like everything is going the way of OMG through these first couple of games? It just feels like they understand where they need to be on the map, and Moham's not even quite level 6 yet. Once that spike is hit, it's going to get even more dangerous for LGD to walk around the map.
Yeah. One of the things that just made me excited about OMG for this split, and Rio in particular, is that this meta is very much encouraging junglers to be super active and take these bold risks to drop camps and try and find windows where the enemy is not going to expect you to be attacking them. And Rio has already found a few windows in this series to just play off timers that LGD is not clearly expecting.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. Like, these junglers are looking very fun right now, and I think that's what we wanted to see. We highlighted Rio and his unique pathing, but Moham once again potentially looking. Thresh doing a good job body blocking. You don't really want to hook in that tank for now, so just going to be some posturing. You never really know how that Pike engage is going to go. But just as you mentioned, Heng is going to make his way down here for a potential lane gank. Starry does have to be very careful here.
Wave freeze has been broken. Moham taking a base, so Starry has to be extremely careful. Oh, that might be a little too far, though. Starry able to block some damage without rebuttal, but a 1-on-3 is not going to be looking good for him. LGD finally get a bailout here on bot lane.
Awesome play by Heng here to be able to find a way to get his bot lane back into this game. It was looking dire for this Aphelios, but if you can just keep him neutral, things can be just fine here for LGD. This was their problem in the previous game, is that they let things snowball way too quickly. Being able to kind of stem the bleeding here and make sure that your bot lane's in a good enough spot to be able to play out the mid game, that is super important for LGD, even if you still don't have a ton of pressure. And Heng, once again, is going to go in and be able to protect his jungle here.
This might sway the big Raptors. But now Moham and Rio are going to try to pressure him on these Krugs. So Heng, Vault Breaker over, has to immediately flash. The wind becomes lightning. Otherwise, that slow could have connected into Moham's full CC kit.
Man, this Pyke, it's becoming a real big issue for LGD in the mid game, and this is the exact power spike you're looking for OMG. Dragon spawning in 10 seconds. That's a massive spike here for both of these teams. LGD continuing to stack those could be a big win condition for them, but right now, they want this York on the top side.
Heng doesn't have flash or cease and desist, but Hery has burned the flash, so this should be a kill angle. Pops the maiden for a little bit of extra sustain, and it's enough for him to dissuade the gank, and now he's got reinforcements. Haichao is ready to get into the fray, but LGD have enough time to back off before the Silas makes his approach.
Yeah, I was really interested to see if that Vi ultimate was going to be stolen and used on the other side for engage, but Heng is still here. Hery still has that sustain going for him. Shouldn't be in too much danger. Not going to fall for the trick of the jungler. Going to be able to disengage. And it's an LGD play that doesn't quite go according to plan. Dragon is on the map, and that means resets are necessary at this point to not lose total control over that part of the map.
Yeah, LGD did get the first dragon of the game, which is pretty nice for them to at least get some Drake stacking on their side so that OMG are not forcing them to be challenged at another Drake soul fight like they had to experience in the first game. Always can buy them at least that extra 5 minutes. Moham just continuously floating in between both bot and mid, trying to fish for any pick opportunities, try and burn continuous more summoner spells. I'm telling you, man, Moham knew the sauce when this champion worked so well against LGD the last time they played each other in Split 1, and he's giving them PTSD flashbacks.
I mean, he clearly knows the champ super well. Like, his ability to be able to isolate himself on the map without ever being in true danger, getting all of this vision control on the bottom side, basically all by himself. This has been a fantastic start for Moham, a player that we have questioned in the past for OMG. I mean, he's hit that level 6 power spike. He doesn't need XP anymore, and Rio understands that. It looks like Dragon's going to be the priority, but maybe bot lane will be first.
YCX just constantly trying to stand in front of Shaoye just to make sure that not a stray hook from Moham finds its way onto the Aphelios. But it buys enough priority for this Rio Xinjiao to just make sure that he is getting this dragon uncontested. He finds a hook through the mini wave. Incredible. Golden Eclipse thrown out for extra chunk damage. Shaoye steps up, tries to make sure that Thresh can stay in safety. And yeah, takes the Death Dark Passage back to safety. But now Rio, will he stop their recalls in this bush?
Oh, he's going to. He's walking right up to them, but he might have walked too far. Heal is going to be popped. He's out of there. Starry popping that ultimate early on the Mel to try to get them into execute range for Pyke. This looks so scary as a duo. The damage coming in from Starry's Q is absolutely ridiculous. This Luden's completion for Starry has been so massive of a power spike. And now the Drake stacking is done as well. Shaoye has to be so scared onto the bottom side that they can overload. We have pings coming down around this Vi Ahri. Haichao looks like he might be the target for now, but again, it's very difficult to deal with a Silas who has all of these dashes with Ahri ultimate as well. OMG's comp is built perfectly to disengage these bad plays, and once again, it just feels like they're in a good spot.
Yeah, and there's no dragon to play for LGD, so it's just a crab that Heng can try and secure for himself. Moham is already on the top side of the map. Won't have a chance to clear this control ward since Burdol is stepping up to the wave, ignoring the push into his tower. But Moham, patient, finally waits for Burdol to finally respond to the wave. He's able to clear some vision, provide that safety for Hery as he makes his walk back to the mid lane, where now Starry is taking up position so that he can always look to clear and move with his jungler and support.
Man, I don't want Starry moving around if I'm LGD. Every fight around this Mel right now is going to be very difficult to deal with, and that's not even counting the fact that the Xin Zhao is 500 gold up as well, in a position where Rio is going to be able to fight really successfully on the best skirmishing champion in the game. This duo is very dangerous to deal with. You have so many different ways to chunk and burst down LGD. You can't be walking into these bushes, and unfortunately for Heng, he might have done that.
Rio pops the crescent guard, forces the engage. Might have been a little too bold, as the rest of OMG were very far from the engage, and Rio's gonna go down for his efforts here. Flash on Starry, but it's the death sentence rebutted as Starry is forced to flash away from the charm. LGD finally getting some summoner spells burned on some key carries here, and they can always make a repeat visit on this Mel.
Yeah, the key there was that LGD reacted a lot faster to that play than OMG did. I'm not necessarily sure that that goes that exact way if OMG are, have their finger on the trigger, but they don't quite have it there, and LGD are going to win out because of it. The game is almost entirely neutralized gold-wise. Haichao is going to get quite a bit on the bottom side, but another objective going over to the side of LGD. This time, Rift Herald should be able to get them a bit of a gold lead, and look at where those kills are. They're on the Aphelios. If you want a late-game win condition, Shaoye can be that for you.
The longest tenured member on this roster is the person now with the most gold on LGD. Can Shaoye lead them back into a winning state as... Good understanding from Shaoye, just drops the turret down and is able to block that bone skewer from being able to connect onto him. Shaoye being able to keep a hold of his flash, as that summon spell is going to be very important to be able to dodge out on further attempts by this Pyke.
My question now is, what do you do with the Pyke? This Pyke is obviously a huge threat on the map without vision control, but LGD have done a good job of getting that vision control. You're overloading on the top side. You have to be really careful here if you're Heng. It's going to get hooked, but again, shouldn't be in too much danger. The tower's going to go down in favor of that York. This is exactly how you want to use that side lane pressure, but again, the question is, where do you find those engages? Where do you find those hooks? Moham, a very adept Pyke player, but this is a very difficult spot if you can't land on the Aphelios because these engages become a lot more consistent. You're still level 7. Everybody's hitting level 12 in the game right now. You really have to start getting concerned about the longevity of a pick that maybe needed to get a slightly bigger lead in the early game. Still, you're looking at a Yorick that is now coming online, and that could potentially be your win condition in a side lane.
Very true. Now that he's been given effectively a tower in that side lane, Trinity Force, and working his way towards the second item, which... Not sure if it's going to be Sunder Sky or the Spear Shojin. Probably the latter there. But the more items that this York gets under his belt, the harder it does get for this Jace to try and manage it, especially when the Maiden is up. So LGD are going to have to start overgrouping in the mid lane, probably, or just trying to force picks with their jungle mid duo, which is exactly what Tangyuan's trying to look for. Uh-oh. Moham might be in a bad spot here. Haichao's trying to go in to see if he can at least...
Oh, they want this.
...maintain a fight, potentially, here. Hery just TP's into 4 people. OMG have to either all commit now before their top laner goes down, but it's a little too late once again. They're going to get pinched by Burdol. It's disaster for OMG. Burdol's able to find the member in the backline. Shaoye picks up the Quadra, and they're trying to set up the Penta, but Haichao makes it out alive before it gets too quick. It goes back in. Haichao gets a Spirit Rush reset, and he burns down Burdol.
Haichao sees the angle, but he has to watch his team die in the process. A massive, massive pick from LGD and a massive mistake from OMG. They just feel they're way stronger than they actually are. That gives up the dragon, which gives objective control back to LGD. And the fight's not even over with this tower going down.
LGD win big on that massive fight, and honestly, Kman, it just felt like OMG are kind of not coordinated on what they wanted to do in the river there, and just not willing to take their losses on the first couple of members dropping.
I think that's a fair thing to say, Raafaa. I don't understand what this play is for OMG. You get caught out here, and that's unfortunate. You lose Moham with the Pyke, but the TP from the Yorick in the middle of 5 people, while Burdol is just zoning out the main pieces of this comp with Starry and Rio on the other side. That's not how you play front to back with your Mel's AD carry on the bot side, so really frustrating separation there. Starry just gets blown up at the end. Kill still goes over to Shaoye. And it's not just the fact that, oh, LGD pick up kills. It's 4 kills on this Aphelios. He's 6-1, 2,000 gold up on a Mel who did great in the laning phase. If you were worried before, you have to be so worried now. Every front to back is going to be in favor of LGD if they can get it.
Yeah. And some of our concerns from LGD in game 1 when they fell behind with their composition and having a lack of strong primary engage is kind of falling on OMG at this point in the game as well, where you have a lot of pick tools, but only strong primary engage tool you have is Haichao stealing Vi ultimate, and that's kind of it, because everything else is just dependent on, well, let's just go in. And let's just pray it works. And
but Raafaa, the problem
only works when you have the wall diff, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're like, oh yeah, let's just go in. You're playing 4v5. This Pyke is out of the game. Like, it is so hard to play Pyke when you're not in a gold lead. It is really hard to find those angles, and that's exactly what you needed. Moham has yet to complete his first item. Like, it is a really, really big problem here for OMG to be able to try and take these exchanges at this point, because Pyke's going to get blown up, and you don't really have any protection for your main carries. You know, Mel takes time to ramp up in a team fight. You don't have that time right now. Side lanes are going to be the pressure for this team. Haichao still has a 700 gold lead. You have a Yorick. You have the ability to be able to play these side lanes, but the biggest issue is LGD going to let you do that? Obviously, you have Dragon in just under 3 minutes here, a little over 2 minutes, but if you're waiting out for that, I don't think things are going to get easier in terms of the setups.
So, if we look at OMG game plan for the next 2.5 minutes, what would you say to them? If you could just, like, go in there and do coach comms, what are you telling us?
Yeah, if I'm coach comms OMG right now, you've got a Yorick, you've got a Silas. I need you to go out there and play for these guys. Haichao was awesome in game number 1, playing the side lane. I know you can out macro LGD. I know you know what to do. Stop making these random mistakes by TPing in. Play controlled, be able to win the scattered fights that you're able to create for yourself, and don't allow this Vi-Ahri duo to be able to take over the game like they have so far. If you can isolate Burdol, if you can isolate Shaoye, that's going to be your way back in. Get those shutdowns and really be able to start getting gold back.
And credit to LGD, they're already preparing for that reality. Tangyuan is shadowing Burdol. Heng is right in the shadows as well, making sure that this Jace can continuously siege up and break these turrets, getting more gold for himself, so that at least another side laner is getting an advantage. Tangyuan is forced back onto the top lane, popping the Spirit Rush as well, I guess, just making sure that Haichao didn't all-in him under the tower or get a meaningful chunk onto him at that time.
It's a low enough cooldown.
What?
I think at this point in the game. I think you're like, you know, I got to get over the wall. I might as well use it.
Yeah.
I think that that's fair. I think the big concern I have right now, and the reason that I think you really need to be looking at someone like Moham throughout the rest of the game is, yes, the Pyke is going to have a lot of trouble being able to play these exchanges, but what did we just talk about? Side lane pressure. What is the most important thing for side lane pressure? Vision control. You have to make sure that you have wards on the jungler, or as much information on, you know, Ahri and Vi as you can to make the correct play and cross map properly.
Well, credit to Moham, finally has enough gold in his pocket to get that Umbral Glaive, which will aid in being able to make sure that there's enough vision control at least cleared out. Bone Skewer connects, Phantom Undertow. Burdol might be locked in this Dark Procession, still has Flash. Gonna hold his ground for now and be confident in not going completely down by Hery and Moham. TP is coming in from Haichao. Hery forced to flash away. Cease and desist in a charm combo. That's the Yorick gone. Here comes Shaoye and YCX to join in on the fray. And OMG once again might have all in a little too hard for this one. They dodge out of the Moonlight Vigil. Haichao's playing with his food. Goes back in. Golden Cliff doesn't do any damage onto Heng. And Haichao's forced to bail now with the Spirit Rush. Rio has joined the fray. And they're trying to tease them around. OMG don't drop any further members, and you can at least be confident that at least OMG didn't drop any more members there, but it's another one of those back and forth kind of like, hey guys, are we doing a little too much here on this play?
I mean, the problem is that OMG have no way to go forward. Right now, they can only go backwards, and that means LGD gets to control everything. So many resources, just like last game, are being used to disengage, and that gives so many opportunities for LGD to continue to play more aggressive. Soul Point acquired its Cloud Soul this game as well, which is fantastic for this comp. You could really not ask for a better soul in this game than Cloud Soul for Vi, Ahri, Aphelios to be able to play these side lanes. And Starry, especially with that lack of mobility on Mel, that one defensive tool with the Reflect, it's going to be even more difficult for him to stand and fight. He's going to have to dodge a lot in this one, and just makes LGD really be able to control the map that much more, and it makes everybody's life on OMG that much more difficult.
YCX is getting some vision down into this blue quadrant, just trying to make sure that they have control on this top river. in anticipation for a Baron play if they ever have numbers, if they ever find Rio again isolated or going in too deep. Gold lead has been diminished a little bit here, Kman, but still not enough for OMG to feel confident about going for 5-on-5s or even number type of flips. I think you're still right in the fact that they just have to rely on their side laning, and hopefully that Haichao can just break open the game somehow. Oh no,
Starry.
Flash away, Rebuttal cuts the damage down. Rio is now here for the play. They've separated Heng onto the left side, and the cease and desist gives Haichao a nice needed shutdown. Hery comes with a TP play, sections off Shaoye, forces him into the back. YCX now caught up by Rio as he tries to snag him in with the death sentence. Burdol also gets in, takes the hammer, and punts Rio back into his team, and that evens up the odds here. Shaoye getting a double in the fray, and once again, it is just Haichao and Starry left alone.
These fights are so chaotic, Raafaa. So much is happening. The separation is real. We're not getting any front to back. You have a Mel that's frontlining because she gets caught out first, and now Baron has been started. There's no way they can test this.
Haichao's gonna try, though. Banking on the magic resist shred coming out. Dodges out on the charm. LGD burning down this Baron. Moham almost gone, and Burdol finishes him off with the flash. Haichao, is he going to try one last-ditch effort? Grabs the RE Spirit Rush again. Oh, nice try. There is no smite on LGD's side. It was worth the effort, but in the end, Shaoye secures the Baron. And now LGD find themselves with more than 4,000 gold ahead.
It's just chaos incarnate right now on the map. Everything going the way of LGD because they're able to find the backliners first. Starry is just way too far forward by himself. It's a great setup by LGD, but there's no team around him. You can't be making this kind of mistake as Mel. It's a great job to try and turn this play around, but because Mel gets hooked by the Thresh, even though you are able to trade jungle for, in this case, AD carry, AP carry, you're losing the much more valuable piece in this exchange, and where Burdol is actually able to make a big impact is keeping Rio from being in a spot where he can re-engage with the rest of his team. Once you're able to take down that Xin Zhao, it becomes even harder to try and frontline here, but the 5k gold lead being utilized well. Burdol continues to do well for himself in a side lane. He's got a 1.3k gold lead, and do I read that right? Is that 4,000 gold up on Shaoye in the bot lane?
Yep, that's correct. He's at 4 items. Starry, I should say, has yet to complete his third. So, quite a massive Aphelios that LGD have on their side, and they're just going to force the dive into the base, but Tangyuan going golden doesn't even matter. I thought that that might have been an opportunity for Heng to go down on OMG's side. Tangyuan continues the play, uses all 3 Spirit Rush charges, and it guarantees that the inhibitor tower will fall, but Hery actually might be able to at least get an inhibitor tower on the top side as he's committing to the split push. Tangyuan is the only one that is forced to retreat. Rest of LGD sieging up through the bottom side of the map, and they're pressuring the base.
Yeah, they want to end the game here. They're not just worried about what's going on. They're trying to end. OMG doing a good job to stay passive, but we could get a game-ending fight here.
Oh, Haichao grabs cease and desist. They're all inning on to Shaoye. He goes golden. Can anyone follow up on the play? Everyone's defending Shaoye from certain death, and they ensure the king is not going to be knocked down. The crown will stay on top of Shaoye. He maintains the gold lead. He maintains his life, and LGD will maintain their chance in this series.
Statement game number 2 from LGD. They said, hey, we were too passive. We didn't trust ourselves enough in game number 1. We don't really care about the chefs in the kitchen. We're eating the food here today. We don't care what you're cooking. We are the ones being served. So very happy to see them just go back to comfort, not worry too much. Hey, Vi can be countered. I don't care. We're first picking it. Vi RE doesn't do all that well because Mel can reflect charm. We don't care. We're locking it in. We just want the champs we play, and boy, did they do well with the champs that they played.
Yeah, credit to LGD for not only overcoming the Moham Pike specialty pick. I thought that the PTSD was going to be enough to stop them in their tracks, but I think they just found a really, really strong angle of relying and trusting on this Ahri Vi combo to come in, and the fact that Shaoye benefits off of a lot of those early kills. It just really put OMG in a weird spot where they didn't know how to start these fights off well once they lost the clear gold advantage. And I think that bot river was just so cataclysmic for OMG's game.
I mean, it's crazy. That's 2 games in a row where a massive bot river fight just completely changes everything. Like, you're either in a spot where you immediately win or lose the game based off of whose AD carry gets a bunch of kills. A quadra kill pretty early on in the game does end up sealing some things for Shaoye, a player that we didn't really highlight a ton, but he's the LGD long-standing player. He kind of is the face of the franchise right now for them. We've talked about Tangyuan, we talked about Heng, you know, being really important for this team. Shaoye stepped up here today. He got so many champions banned against him, and he still was able to pull out the Aphelios and pop off.
I mean, they're constantly throwing Draven bans at him in the second round, and the AD carry pool was diminished further and further for both of these guys. And I still think that in theory, what OMG cooked up bot lane wise with this Melflex and getting Haichao like a solid counter pick with the Sylas, everything seemed great. Obviously, once again, pitfall of lack of primary engage definitely hits you hard once you start falling behind massively in gold. And I think OMG really needed to get off the ground running, and losing that advantage just crippled them.
Yeah, I mean, the big problem is, like, if you're gonna draft Pyke, you gotta have a 2k gold lead. Like, it's just the way it goes. Like, that champion either wins or loses by the mid-game mark, and we can see it. I mean, Moham was really effective, was completely controlling the map for the beginning of the game. 4,000 damage, less damage than Thresh on the other side. Like, it can fall off a cliff so fast. And we got to the point where Moham's biggest trait throughout the back end of that game was dying, was being targeted first. Like, that was what you wanted out of the Pyke. Like, it just became so hard. And when you draft yourself into a spot where you have to win in the early game, it does become more difficult. And ironically enough, we had this opposite conversation in game one, where OMG go out there and pick this comp that has so much proactivity, and, you know, LGD are just playing all these scaling picks with no engage, and there's no way for them to get to the late game. Well, we have the flip side of that now, where if you draft for the early game and you don't get that lead, you lose that river fight. It's so hard to be able to come out on top and play the same kind of game.
Yeah. I mean, even this, like, bot lane fight where Starry turns it, and we just start thinking, oh man, this Mel Pyke is gonna look unstoppable. Credit to Heng for ensuring that Shaoye got some gold back in his pocket, so that they were at least set up for a turnaround towards that fight that we got, where Shaoye then picks up a quadra kill to begin with. This is also one of those moments where you realize what happens when you don't have a marksman on your team, because obviously you still have some range, but if it's often AP carry, and the fact that Starry was being focused very early by a lot of these engages that LGD were finding. Yeah, everyone. I think they recognize, like, hey, if we take out Starry, they are forced to go into us, and then we can just play peel for Aphelios, and he just wins every scenario afterwards.
I mean, that's the thing, Raafaa. You're like, oh, like, yeah, they peel for Aphelios. Look at the peel. It's actually crazy good for that side. Like, you have so many tools to keep your Aphelios safe. It's not just, oh, I have an Aphelios and I have a Thresh. The Thresh helps a lot. The Vi is great peel. Ahri can actually be really consistent peel. We saw Burdol in every fight flank a Xin Zhao and insect him back into his team. Like, we were seeing some insane setups from this team in terms of the execution that they got. And obviously, you're really happy to be able to see that kind of execution. The question is, like, why did OMG allow it to happen in the first place? Because I really do feel like we should have never gotten to the part of the game where that was easy. LGD executed well, but it really just comes down to one major misstep in the mid game, something that both of these teams are going to need to iron out if they want to be teams at the top of Group Nirvana.
Yeah. Because I guarantee you, if Shaoye is not that fed, LGD cannot force the engages that they were doing in the second half of the game, right? Because they're just banking on eliminate this Mel, and there's no longer any real threat on our Aphelios, who can just, like, play out the game as Thanos from this point on. And it's just really good game sense and understanding of, like, win conditions too, right?
For sure. Yeah, I think really when it comes down to it, it's just saying, hey, we do this well, let's do this. And we get a reward for it. It's actually Heng who's going to get player of the game here. Not quite sure that's a bad decision. I know some people are going to get upset by that. I think Heng had a big impact on this game. Shaoye is going to feel pretty hard done with how much damage that Aphelios was doing, but it really did feel like a team effort from LGD for me.
AD carry mains are definitely going to be miffed. It's like, bro, my Aphelios got the quadra kill, and we're rewarding the Vi, but remember who got you in that position in the first place. It was Heng making the lane gank. Obviously, you saw briefly that the player of the game votes were a little split. There was some votes being thrown to Shaoye's way, and I'm not necessarily saying that Heng was the correct choice, but I can understand that it's like, well, how does Shaoye get to that in the first place? Because it definitely is a different story if Shaoye and YCX win that lane by themselves without any jungle intervention, but the fact that they were losing it, I think it just makes it valid that Heng gets the credit for being the savior in this game for them in the first place.
I can't believe Myafelios is getting punished for losing a 2v2. Are you telling me that Myafelios was supposed to go out there and kill Pike Mel at level 3? That's what we wanted to see happen. I will not stand for this slander, Raafaa.
Bot gap. And it was extremely close, as our producer Ice confirmed. 4 jungle, 3 bot, 1 mid. So the one person that voted for Tangyuan, you might have costed Aphelios the MVP. So 80 carry mains, you know. Actually, who voted for the 1 mid? That's the real question.
What mid lane player is on the voting panel?
yeah. Was it an observer? Was it a ref? Referee voted.
Ref.
Well, referee, if you see trucks outside the LPL studio, go back inside and call security. Get someone to escort you to a safe place. Well, well, time for a break. When we come back, it's the exciting conclusion between LGD and Oh My God.